Hello, our video project was on Oligopoly. We are Clarissa Ochoa, Fabian Guzman, Christy Whiskey, and Irvin De La Cruz. Explain the characteristics of an oligopoly. In our project, we are going to look at how do economists model this industry and what are the most important concepts to understanding the oligopolistic industry. Characteristics of an oligopolistic industry. An oligopoly. It is a market dominated by a few sellers, at least several of which are large enough relative to the total market to be able to influence market price. Some characteristics of an oligopolistic industry include a highly developed economies, advertising campaigns to increase sales and to set barriers to entry. Oligopolies can have either homo or heterogeneous products. Largest firms have some say in their product prices and output. Oligopolists make interdependent decisions, so decisions based on actions of other firms. No firm has perfect information. How do economists model this industry? Economists may ignore interdependence and treat the oligopolistic firms as if they are monopolies, but this model is very unrealistic. Cartel model recognizes that the oligopolies are interdependent and assumes collusion is present. The strategic interaction model is the most realistic of the three. It assumes that the interdependence of one firm affects the decisions of its competitors. Economists use game theory to analyze it. Cartels. Cartels is a group of sellers of a product who have joined together to control its production, sales, and price in hopes of obtaining the advantage of monopoly. An example of a cartel is OPEC. It is an international cartel which exerts control over the world's petroleum market. International cartels, more often than not, officially are political treaties among countries. However, when the country also controls the production of a good like petroleum, and when the treaty is primarily designed as a means of influencing the global market for this good, then the treaty also becomes a formal economic arrangement and an example of explicit collusion. Collusion. Collusion can take one of two forms, explicit and implicit. Explicit collusion, also termed overt collusion, this occurs when two or more firms in the same industry formally agree to control the market. Admittedly, because collusion in the United States is most industrialized countries is illegal, such a formal agreement is likely to be highly secret and unlikely to be documented in any way. Implicit collusion, also termed tacit collusion, this occurs when two or more firms in the same industry, without meeting with each other, agree to control the market, often through nothing more than interdependent actions. Here is an example of an oligopoly. Smartphone operating systems. The smartphone market is primarily dominated by a handful of companies, the most powerful of two being Google, Android, and Apple iOS. These companies have deep relationships with the handset providers and are able to have their systems pre-installed on each phone. What are the most important concepts for understanding the oligopolistic industry? Game theory is the most commonly used approach in understanding oligopolies. It shows us the interdependence of oligopolistic firms. There are two main concepts for the game theory approach, strategies and payoff matrices. Strategies and payoff matrices. Strategies represent the decision of an oligopoly. The payoff matrix shows the possible outcomes for each competitor given the strategy. In games that have a dominant strategy, the strategy that is best regardless of what the competitor's strategic decision is, allows us to analyze how competition forces the oligopolistic firms to not always choose the most profitable decisions. In games without a dominant strategy, the firms will have to make a decision based on the best of the worst outcome. This is called the Maximin criterion, because firms are choosing a strategy assuming that their competitors will try and sabotage them, goes to show the interdependence in the oligopolistic industry. A zero-sum game. A zero-sum game is a game in which whatever a competitor loses, the other competitor gains. This has a special kind of payoff matrix where each outcome for the competitors sums up to the same amount in every square of the matrix. Repeated games. A game that is played a number of times. It gives all of the players a chance to learn something about each other's behavior patterns. A game that ends after a number of turns is a finitely repeated game. A game that has no definite end is an infinitely repeated game. Firms that are in competition can compete over prices or quality. Over time, they learn behaviors from each other to develop their own strategies to market or price their product. Threats and credibility. A player can use threats to make rivals change their patterns and behaviors. It can end up hurting both parties. An example of this is a retail store can threaten its competition by doubling its output and lowering its prices. This does not seem like a credible threat because this strategy can end up hurting both the retail store and its competition. Here is our works cited page. Thank you very much for your time.